Hi everyone and welcome to this Wellington property market update for the month of June 2020 compared to the June 2019, where we look at the Wellington real estate data over the last month compared to 12 months ago. And in summary, folks, the Wellington market just continues to defy any COVID pessimism. Any pessimism that was there, and there certainly was a lot, the Wellington market is ignoring it all and just going forward as if COVID never happened. So let's get into the numbers. Firstly, new listings. 536 new listings in June 2020 in the Wellington region compared to 530 in June 2019. So that's basically at the same level, up 1%. Same as last year essentially, which was low and remains low, but certainly no rush of new listings flooding to the market as a result of people under pressure, as was being predicted. But what it does show us is that vendors are once again confident enough to place their property in the market. So 536, the same level essentially as a year ago, back to pre-COVID norms. Median sale price continuing to go ahead, 685,000 in June 2020 compared to 620 in June 2019, an increase of 10% consistent with the last few months, so no real change there. How long is it taking to sell property in the Wellington region? June 2020, 34 days compared to 35 in June 2019, so slightly less time. Now that suggests a slightly stronger market. Slightly more of a seller's market than 12 months ago. So again, what this shows is back to normal, back to pre-COVID norms completely. Number of sales monthly, we saw 700 properties sell in June 2020 compared to 689. So again, consistent story. Slightly more sales than 12 months ago. Buyers are confident and wanting to transact. Inventory, and this one does puzzle me, I have to say. The data shows that in June 2020 we had 11 weeks worth of supply on the market in Wellington compared to 8 weeks in June 2019. Now, the numbers I'm sure aren't lying, and 11 weeks is quite high compared to what we've seen in the last 5 years, to be fair. But I have to say I'm puzzled as to how that's come about, because we're not seeing increasing levels of supply and we're not seeing dramatically decreasing levels of turnover, so I'm not quite sure how that works, but that's what the numbers are. It's just inconsistent with the rest of the numbers. So moving on, how many listings have we got on Trade Me? The gross levels of internet website listings. In July 2020, that's pretty much right now, 1,366 on the market in Trade Me in the Wellington region compared to 1,662 in July last year, so that's a drop of 18%. So a big drop compared to 12 months ago. Again, this is consistent with what we've seen over the last 6 months or so. Supply remains very, very tight. It's tighter than it's been for the last 6 years or so since I've started collecting this data. So we got very, very low supply levels indeed. Good news for sellers, bad news for buyers, unfortunately. I want to have a look at this slide. This is another one you haven't seen before. Just put these numbers together. This is showing buyer activity per listing pre, during and post COVID. And what you're seeing here is that when COVID hit, obviously we had very limited buyer activity or per listing because people were not able to view. And then as the restrictions were lifted as we went into level 3, 2, 1, the amount of activity per listing increased gradually and consistently, and we're now pretty much at or around the same sort of level of buyer activity per listing as we were pre-COVID. So back again to pre-COVID norms. So how come prices are holding up? How come prices are still going ahead? How come the market is so very strong in the face of what most economists and experts were saying was going to be a very soft market coming out of COVID and that the market was going to collapse? And so far it certainly has not. It's continued to be very strong. Well, Tony Alexander, thank you so much, Tony, for this graph on New Zealand net migration. And what this is showing is that with all of the Kiwis coming home and back to the safety where we have COVID well under control, our net immigration, as opposed to the predictions which said that that net immigration was going to collapse, it's actually almost at the highest level it's ever been, at about 80,000 or so net. So we've got a lot of Kiwis coming home, and there are still, I understand, about 1 million Kiwis living offshore. I can't help but think that there's still a lot of them who are planning to come home and would like to come home in the future. So very interesting. New Zealand net migration still extremely strong indeed, and that indeed might help explain why there's such good buyer demand. And a lot of these people who've come home, they'll be bunking down temporarily at Aunt Agnes's house or something, and they will need somewhere to live, whether it be buying or renting. So that bodes well for the property market, be it, retaining its strength. So in summary, folks, new listings, same as last year, which, yes, was low, but back to previous norms. But price growth continues unabated. Duration to sell and sale volumes, both back to pre-COVID normal levels, and overall stock levels remain very, very low indeed. There is no market pain resulting from COVID that's demonstrated yet, and the long-term fundamentals remain strong for real estate. I hope this has been interesting and useful. It's Adam Cockburn here at Lowe Co. If you need any advice or want to chat real estate, just get in touch. Thanks so much. See you next month.